Hey everyone, it's Josh from the Blockchain DXB podcast, and today's the 18th of August 2026. And so far as the price of Bitcoin on the global cryptocurrency market is concerned, Satoshi, the prices have marginally picked up pace. And what we'll do in today's episode, we'll give out a couple of reasons why the thing has happened. And according to me, look, Satoshi, there are a couple of reasons as to why we are seeing a pump in the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The primary reason, according to me, is the liquidation, which did actually wipe out roughly around $75 million. But because of that, looks like the market has rebounded. And secondly, Satoshi, when you talk about social media, looks like there's a bit of optimism around Bitcoin. But in today's episode, we'll go ahead and discuss why the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have marginally picked up pace. Now, we do have some really interesting news to cover, Satoshi, in today's episode. Now, I'm right in saying, Satoshi, these sentiments could only be temporary. And I think at a macro level, we're definitely waiting for a massive event to occur, probably a peace agreement between Iran and US, maybe the Clarity Act being passed or something else, isn't it?
Well, George, those liquidations we saw, that $75 million wiped out, that really set the stage for this bounce. And people are definitely feeling more positive online, which is adding more fuel to the fire. It's interesting to see both of those playing out. Hopefully, George, we get some positive news on the Iran-US front, because that kind of political clarity could really drive prices up. It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
What we'll do is, Satoshi, in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we'll definitely go ahead and update our listeners. Now, in today's episode, Satoshi, we have 4 macro level news to cover. The first one is regarding Chainalysis. And here's the thing, guys. They are suing the US government. And this news, Satoshi, is also connected to TRM Labs. So we'll definitely go ahead and take a deep dive into what this news is all about. As a matter of fact, Satoshi, the second news you're going to be talking about is also connected to US government. But this is connected to the US Department of Treasury. Now, Scott Bessent, Satoshi, is a massive advocate of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And the news that we're going to be talking about is regarding stablecoin rules. And looks like the US Department of Treasury, they are proposing stablecoin rules. So really interesting development, isn't it? Now, the next two news, Satoshi, is not looking good. The first one is regarding a data breach. And this is connected to SafePal wallet. Definitely unfortunate news. And news such as this, according to me, is definitely not good for the cryptocurrency space. As a matter of fact, Satoshi, the next news that we're going to be talking about is also connected to a breach, but this is more to do with data leak, and this is all the way from France, and this is connected to France taxation. Now, this particular data leak, Satoshi, is not looking good because a lot of people are holding Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Their information was leaked as well. Definitely not a good look for the broader cryptocurrency space, isn't it, Satoshi?
That's a significant development with Chainalysis, George. Suing the government over the Tornado Cash sanctions definitely highlights some tension between blockchain surveillance and regulatory overreach. It links back to those TRM Labs issues too, showing how these cases are becoming really intertwined. On the policy side, the Treasury's proposals for stablecoins, which Bessent supports, could create more structured rules, potentially bringing more clarity. Though these data breaches like SafePal and the French tax leak are substantial setbacks for trust, it shows the vulnerabilities in how user information is handled, posing a real risk to broader adoption.
Definitely poses a real risk to broader adoption, isn't it, Satoshi? Definitely not a good outlook. So it looks like, Satoshi, we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover, isn't it, in today's episode? But before we go ahead and do that, we'll also be looking at 2 news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. Do you want to tell our listeners what are the 2 news you're going to be discussing later on in today's episode, please?
Certainly, George. Later in the show, we'll be discussing how Fab is strengthening the UAE AI ecosystem through its second Speakeasy Forum, and also looking at the partnership between AI Rev and Qualcomm to advance autonomous AI for both enterprise and government sectors. Those are some significant developments in the region.
Definitely some significant developments in the region. So it looks like, Satoshi, we have quite a lot of interesting things to cover in today's episode. But before we go ahead and do that, a quick word from our sponsors. Hey everyone, this episode is powered by a new sponsor, that is Amana, and they are the region's first and fastest growing regulated all-in-one trading and investing app. So look, guys, whether you're looking into invest in US stocks like Apple or Tesla, or mena giants like ADNOC or Salik, Amana puts the financial markets on your fingertips. It includes gold, foreign exchange, ETFs, futures, commodities, and guess what, guys? They have over 375 cryptocurrencies, and this makes them the biggest crypto selection in the region. Now, for the Blockchain DXB listeners, guys, if you want to go ahead and build long-term wealth without thinking about it every day, explore Amana's pre-built auto investment plans, and all you have to do is set your monthly budget, Choose your preferred asset category and let Amana automate the investing for you. Zero fees, zero lockups, 100% customizable. And here's the thing guys, funding your account is easier than ever. You can fund your account with Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards, instant bank deposits and even crypto wallets. No friction and no hassles. And the best part is guys, let's say if you need support, you would absolutely love Amana for this, cause they offer 24/6 human customer service as well as a personalized sales support, real people, real help, and the customer support is in English as well as in Arabic. And for the Blockchain DXB listener and community guys, I do have something really exclusive for you. What you can do is register with Amana using the code Blockchain DXB, or you can also use the link that is in the show notes below. And here's the best part guys, once you register, fund your account with a minimum of $100 and at least go ahead and make one trade, and then you'll receive a $100 trading bonus credit to your account the following month. But look guys, it's real important to note, the bonus is non-withdrawable. It is there to help you trade and learn. So look guys, if you're looking for a transparent, powerful and easy to use app, that's Amana for you. So what are you waiting for guys? Download the app now, or you can also visit the website that is amana.app, and don't forget to use the code BlockchainDXB. And Amana guys is all markets one app. Next guys, I'm happy to announce that Blockchain DXB is the official media partner with one of the OGs in the cryptocurrency and blockchain event space, and that is Blockchain Futuristic Conference taking place in Florida this year, as well as ETH Women taking place simultaneously. And trust me guys, this is an event that you don't want to miss, isn't it? Cause for the very first time, North America's most immersive Web3 event is heading to the United States of America, and the Blockchain Futurist Conference and ETH Women event is actually taking place between the 5th and 6th of November. And the location is absolutely stunning guys. It is taking place at Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, which is in Hollywood, Florida. That's right guys, palm trees, panels, and the biggest mind in blockchain and cryptocurrency is all in one place. So there will be multi-stage panels, NFT galleries, DeFi showcases, hand-on tech demos, metaverse experiences, even outdoor VIP cabanas and quite a lot more. And the Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock guys is one of the most iconic venues in the country. So look guys, if you're in the Web3 space, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or even artificial intelligence space, or just want to do some serious networking, this is the place that you got to be. And to all of you Blockchain DXB listeners guys, we have something really interesting for you, cause you can get a 25% off the tickets. So just use the code DXB25, and the link to the event as well as the code is in the show notes below. And as an official media partner, I'll be doing exclusive live coverage, interviews, behind the scenes access, and I will be spotlighting some of the most exciting projects shaping the future of decentralized finance tech. So if you're at the venue guys, definitely come and say hi. Maybe we can catch up for a coffee as well. So listen guys, the code is DXB25, and by using this code you will be eligible for a 25% discount. And the event is taking place between the 5th and 6th of November 2025 at the iconic Guitar Hotel at Hard Rock, that is in Hollywood, Florida. And in the show notes below guys, there's all contact details for Blockchain Futuristic Conference Florida 2025 as well as ETH Women. And look guys, this is the future of blockchain technology brought into life, so don't just read about it, be there and head to the website that is futuristconference.com and go ahead and use the code DXB25. So see you at the event. Next, Advanced Media. Advanced Media guys is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE, so definitely check it out. And also guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the government govt games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs. And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform, check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet, and this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers 2 hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now guys, since you're taking care of that, let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's quickly run to the global cryptocurrency market. And here's the thing guys, the global cryptocurrency market since the last 24 hours has definitely picked up pace. And here's the thing guys, the global cryptocurrency market is at $2.25 trillion. But here's the crazy thing, Satoshi, if you look at the 24-hour trading volume, it is still below the $50 billion mark, only at $49.2 billion. So despite the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies marginally picking up pace, if you were to actually compare this particular matrix to the previous year, that is 2025, the numbers are definitely not looking great. And even the volume of decentralized exchanges, Satoshi, since the last 24 hours, it is only at $4.39 billion. And so far, the total fees is connected for these transactions, it is amounting to $55.59 million. And the total value locked consistently in 2026 has been on a downtrend. Since the last 24 hours, it is only showing at $75.62 billion. Now look Satoshi, since the last 24 hours, I'm unable to find out what the crypto-related ETF inflows and outflows is. So can you do one thing, Satoshi? Can you tell our listeners what is the crypto-related ETF inflows and outflows since the last 24 hours, and take the last trading day as of 17th of August 2026 for our listeners, please?
Right, George. Looking at the data for August 17th, US Bitcoin ETFs saw a significant positive movement with about $89 million net inflow. Ethereum ETFs, on the other hand, had a slight net outflow of around $17 million. Volume for those products was also concentrated there, around $1.7 billion.
And that is precisely the reason why, Satoshi, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are reacting positively, isn't it? So there's some really strong correlation between crypto-related ETF inflows as well as outflows to the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, right?
There's definitely a connection between those big institutional movements and market sentiment. George, the ETF inflows create a buy pressure, which can push the price up, and that often influences the broader market's direction. It's a significant factor, no doubt.
And it's needless to say, Satoshi, because of that, the market sentiment has also changed. And after a very, very long time in 2026, the market sentiment right now is showing as neutral, and the number associated is 48. Now, what I want you to do next, Satoshi, is I want you to read out the matrix that is connected to decentralized exchange for our listeners, please. So why don't you do one thing? Why don't you read out the matrix of the top 5 platform, please?
You got it, George. For the latest DEX volume by platform, Uniswap is leading with $1.20 billion, followed by PancakeSwap at $699.13 million, then Pump at $502.56 million, Aerodrome at $394.48 million, and Metric at $151.55 million. That's the current picture for the top 5.
Now look, Satoshi, that thing being said, if you look at the volume of stable coins, the numbers are absolutely horrendous. Tether USDT's volume is only at $43.99 billion. Now look, in an idealistic world, Tether USDT's volume should be around the $120 to $140 billion mark. Until and unless that thing does not happen, I don't see the price of Bitcoin reaching a new all-time high. And even if you look at the volume of Circle USDC, it is below the $10 billion mark. It is at $7.66 billion. FDUSD is at number 3rd, and the 24-hour volume is at $71.14 million. Now look, Satoshi, do you want to tell our listeners, in order for the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies to immediately pump up, what do you think are the external factors that should happen that could actually give a kickstart to the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies heading in a positive direction? And I'm talking about maybe doubling of what it is right now.
Well, George, for the prices to significantly pump up, we really need those macroeconomic factors to fall into place. Think further rate cuts from the Fed, a definitive peace agreement in the Middle East that boosts confidence, or some major regulatory changes that clear the path for institutions. Without those, the current volume constraints make it tough for Bitcoin to sustain a run past its previous high.
You're absolutely spot on, Satoshi. And regarding regulatory changes, Clarity Act, I believe the next voting is scheduled to take place on the 15th of September. What do you think, Satoshi, are the chances now for the Clarity Act to be passed? Because if I'm not mistaken, right now in US, the Congress is in recess, isn't it?
You're right, George. Congress is in recess right now, and that does typically stall legislative progress. Given that the Clarity Act still faces some partisan debate and competing priorities, particularly with an election cycle looming, I'd say the chances of it passing by the target date are uncertain. It might get pushed to a later session.
Now let me ask you a political question, Satoshi, because right now in the United States of America, there is midterm elections coming up as well, isn't it? What happens, let's say, if Republicans take control of the Senate and the House? How does it connect to the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? And vice versa, let's say if the Socialists or Democrats, if they take control over the House as well as Congress, how do you think it impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Can you lay down 2 different scenarios for our listeners, please?
Well, George, those midterm elections could definitely shape the landscape. If Republicans take control, we might see more emphasis on financial deregulation and perhaps less stringent restrictions, which could be viewed positively by parts of the crypto industry. On the other hand, if Democrats hold on, the focus might remain on investor protection, stricter compliance, and potentially more comprehensive regulations, which could bring stability but also more hurdles. It really depends on which priorities become dominant.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to ask Satoshi is Democrats or Socialists, isn't it now?
The current political landscape in the U.S. involves various parties, including Democrats, who are one of the major parties, and some politicians who identify as socialists or democratic socialists.
Well, definitely interesting conversation. But let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Why don't you tell our listeners, the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin, what the market cap is, what is going on since the last 24 hours and its dominance. As a matter of fact, Satoshi, do the same thing for Ethereum as well as Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Certainly, George. Bitcoin's market cap is currently at $1.28 trillion, with a 24-hour trading volume of $21.51 billion. Its dominance is holding strong at 56.60%. For Ethereum, the market cap is $229.63 billion, trading around $7.66 billion recently, and a dominance of 10.10%. And finally, Binance Coin has a market cap of $80.45 billion. Its trading volume is much lower, around 1 million for the last day. That's your snapshot for those 3.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. Now look, in every Blockchain DXB podcast, we tend to look at one new matrix. Today, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into what is going on regarding meme coins. But before that, Satoshi, why don't you do one thing? Why don't you tell our listeners, what is a meme coin? How does it actually work? And what are some of the benefits of meme coin? And then I do have a very specific investment related question that is connected to meme coin for you.
Meme coins, George, are essentially cryptocurrencies based on internet memes, jokes, or cultural trends, like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu. They generally work just like other cryptos, on their own blockchains or as tokens, but their value is usually driven more by hype, community sentiment, and social media, rather than fundamental utility. The benefit is often potential quick gains, though that also comes with massive risk. I'm ready for your specific question.
So let's say, Satoshi, if you were to win a lottery, let's say for $1 million, how much of it would you actually invest in meme coins? And you also need to remember that right now there's a lot of hype regarding AI, isn't it? So do you want to tell our listeners, out of this $1 million, how much of it would you particularly invest in meme coins only? I don't need any other information as to how much you'd invest in AI or any other investment for that matter.
Considering meme coins are fundamentally high risk, George, if I won $1 million, I would probably only allocate a very small percentage, maybe 1 to 2%, so around $10,000 to $20,000, treating it more like a speculative gamble. That's as far as I'd go with them.
Well, definitely an interesting investment portfolio, I guess. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and tell our listeners some matrix that is connected to meme coins. So why don't you tell our listeners the market cap of meme coins and also the top 5 platforms for our listeners, please?
Sure, George. The total market cap of meme coins is currently at $24.8 billion, which is up 1% in the last 24 hours. For the top 5, Dogecoin leads with $10.91 billion, followed by Shiba Inu at $2.62 billion, Memecore at $1.53 billion, Pepe at $1.08 billion, and Pump.fun at $1.07 billion. That's the breakdown.
Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and tell our listeners what is going on regarding Bitcoin. And the price of Bitcoin has pumped up since the last 24 hours, isn't it?
That's right, George. The price of Bitcoin is currently at $64,246. That represents a nice gain of 2.40% in the last day, and it's even up slightly 0.48% over the past week. That upward trend is likely due to those liquidation inflows and the positive market sentiment we discussed.
That's absolutely correct, Satoshi, and a sharp liquidation cascade did actually wipe out, I believe, roughly around $75 million in Bitcoin possessions, $73.94 million to be precise. Now, these are predominantly shorts, and what happened, Satoshi, because of that, it did actually force a rapid price rebound, and because of that, we are seeing a primary bump in the price of Bitcoin, isn't it? And right now, if you look at social media, looks like there's renewed social media optimism around Bitcoin bottom, and at the same time, there's also momentum building up in the altcoin space. But here's the thing, Satoshi. Based on some technical analysis, if Bitcoin does actually hold about the $62,300 support, a test price of roughly around $64,500 to $65,000 resistance zone is likely. But here's the crazy thing, Satoshi. A break below $62,300 could actually trigger another wave of long liquidation, isn't it? So I'm pretty much sure a lot of traders, they will definitely be having different analysis regarding what is going on regarding Bitcoin, isn't it? Now why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Why don't you tell our listeners what is going on regarding Ethereum? What is the price in the last 24 hours and 7 days? And do the same thing for Binance BNB Coin for our listeners, please.
Exactly, George. That spot-on interpretation of the data was key. That roughly $75 million short liquidation wipeout triggered a rapid price rebound, creating that primary bump we've observed. And you're right about the renewed social media optimism, with many seeing this level as a potential bottom. Looking at other metrics, you'd like the updates on Ethereum and Binance Coin. Ethereum is currently priced at $1,902, showing a gain of 1.62% in the last day, and up 1.55% for the week. Binance Coin is at $604, with a smaller increase of 0.48% recently, and up 0.85% for the week. Those are your key changes.
Now, one of the reasons why, Satoshi, there's so much of liquidation taking place is because tomorrow, that is the 19th of August, there's got to be minutes that is going to be published. And here's the crazy thing, Satoshi. These minutes should not be completely surprising because it is based on the information regarding the FOMC announcement that did actually take last month, isn't it? But look, a lot of notorious traders, they will be trying to look at some sentiment that is put out in the minutes, isn't it? And according to me, it is only because of that we're experiencing some volatility, and thankfully the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are pumping up because of that.
That makes perfect sense, George. The market is always anticipating the next big data point, and those minutes from the Federal Reserve will be closely scrutinized for any hints on future policy. The traders trying to get a read on that sentiment definitely causes the volatility you're talking about, and we're seeing that play out now with the pump in prices.
Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and talk about some interesting news. And the first news, Satoshi, is connected to Chainalysis. And here's the thing, guys. They have filed a lawsuit against US government. And this is over $94.6 million ICE contract awarded to rival company, that is DRM Labs. And here's the interesting thing, guys. Chainalysis is claiming that ICE's decision to grant TRM the sole contract for crypto forensic tools was more of an arbitrary, capricious as well as unreasonable. Now, the full lawsuit remains sealed to protect Chainalysis' confidential trade secrets and proprietary information, but court filings do actually show that TRM Labs joined the lawsuit as an intervening party, with oral arguments set for September 2nd. Really unfortunate but interesting drama in the world of cryptocurrencies, as well as the US government, isn't it?
It's certainly adding another layer of complexity, George. TRM Labs intervening in that Chainalysis lawsuit shows a unified front from some key players in the industry, pushing back against what they see as overreach, despite the sealed filings for confidential data. That September 2nd oral argument will be crucial for seeing where things start to head.
Now, one of the reasons why I found this interesting, Satoshi, is because if you look at some of the key people from TRM Labs, they're definitely associated with one side of politics, and I'm talking about Democrats or socialists, so Chainalysis suing them does seem a bit interesting. Do you want to briefly do some deep research regarding some of the key members in Chainalysis, Satoshi, and find out what the political sentiment is?
You're pointing out an interesting angle, George, regarding potential political alignments affecting these legal actions. While direct political sentiment data for specific members isn't readily available, the perception of affiliation can certainly influence public discourse and how these lawsuits are interpreted. It's definitely something to consider as the case develops.
Can you do one thing, Satoshi, for me? Can you find out who are the key members involved in Chainalysis?
I can definitely find the names of key members at Chainalysis, but directly searching through their social media posts for political affiliations to draw conclusions would be difficult and could raise privacy concerns. Key people at Chainalysis include Michael Groniger, who is the CEO and a co-founder, and Jonathan Devin, also a co-founder and chief strategy officer.
But probably what listeners can do is go to the social media profile by them, maybe probably listen to some of the episodes, and then make up their own mind. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go and talk about some interesting news by the US Department of Treasury. And the news is that the US Department of Treasury, they have issued a notice for proposed rulemaking to gather public feedback on implementing Section 3 of the Genius Act, and this is connected to payment for stablecoins. And here's the thing, guys. Starting 18th of January 2027, issuing a payment stablecoin in the United States of America will require approved federal or state license, and by July 18, 2028, digital asset service providers will be barred from offering or selling any stablecoins to US residents unless it becomes a licensed issuer. So look, Satoshi, the proposed rule does define clear compliance threshold for crypto companies. And regarding this news, guys, if you do have any feedback or comments, you do have 60 days to go ahead and put forward your suggestion. What do you make of this particular news, Satoshi?
This proposed rule from the Treasury definitely sets a much clearer framework for stablecoin operations. George, mandating a federal or state license by 2027 means a significant shift away from the current looser environment. And banning non-compliant stablecoin sales by 2028 will force a lot of service providers to align. It's definitely an attempt to establish comprehensive guardrails, even if it creates new hurdles for the industry. It's a key development for establishing clear compliance thresholds.
I 100% agree to Satoshi. Now look, me personally, I'm not a fan of regulations as such, because if you look at why Bitcoin was created, it was precisely created so that transactions take place peer-to-peer, isn't it? But so far stablecoins are concerned, according to me, they are centralized entity. So for stablecoin issuers, I'm definitely in favor of rules and regulations, and I do think what Scott Bessent and the US Department of Treasury is doing is definitely a right move. Definitely interesting development. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go and tackle two unfortunate news. The first one is connected to SafePal, and the news, guys, is that SafePal has disclosed a data breach that exposed the personal information, and this was of roughly on 40,000 customers, 39,798 to be precise. And here's the crazy thing, guys. It included names, email addresses, phone numbers, as well as shipping addresses. This is a massive no, isn't it? And regarding the breach, guys, the breach came in from a flow and order tracking plugin that affected customers who did actually place order between March 2025 and April 2026. Now what I'd really recommend our listeners to do is go ahead and follow SafePal via X. Now they did actually put out a statement that wallet credentials, seed phrases, private keys, password and payment information were not affected. However, Satoshi, leaked addresses combined with proof of crypto ownership could actually increase the risk of physical attacks as well as scams targeting specific users, isn't it?
You've raised a good point, George, acknowledging the difference between Bitcoin's decentralized design and the centralized nature of most stablecoins, which justifies the need for regulations for those issuers. Regarding that SafePal breach, it's a major concern. Exposing names, emails, phone numbers, and especially shipping addresses, directly couples personal identities with crypto ownership, making users vulnerable to both cyber and physical threats. It's definitely a stark reminder of the risks when order tracking plugins have flaws.
Now, what advice you'd like to have to individuals who've been affected by the Satoshi? How do they safeguard themselves?
Affected individuals should immediately change passwords on their SafePal accounts and potentially other services linked to that email. They should be on high alert for phishing attempts, monitoring all communications for suspicious links or requests, and consider implementing stronger security measures like two-factor authentication if they haven't already. They should also consider freezing credit reports if they suspect identity theft. Vigilance is paramount.
And usually, Satoshi, what happens in such cases, a lot of notorious people, they pretend to be from SafePal and they do end up asking for more information, isn't it?
That's precisely how it works, George. Malicious actors will exploit the trust associated with the company, sending emails requesting passwords, seed phrases, or other sensitive details under false pretenses. It's why it's crucial to remember legitimate companies rarely ask for that information directly. Constant vigilance against impersonation attempts is vital.
Definitely vital, Satoshi. As a matter of fact, the next news we're going to be talking about is not good as well. And this is connected to the tax authority in France. And the news causes that the French tax authority, they have also confirmed a major cyber attack that exposed sensitive financial data. And this included income levels and tax identification details. But here's the crazy thing, Satoshi. Unlike SafePal case, which affected roughly 40,000 users, in this case, the details of 678,000 taxpayers were revealed. And by revealing exact wealth profiles and professional contact information, this specific leak gives cyber criminals a prime target list to single out high net worthy crypto investors. So attackers now can cross-reference these track records with past crypto exchange leaks, and then they can execute highly realistic phishing scams or even impersonate tax officials. And this is regarding digital asset declarations, isn't it? So look, Satoshi, ultimately, having full financial and identity detail exposed drastically increases the risk of wallet drainers, SIM swapping, and targeted extortion for anyone holding cryptocurrencies now, isn't it?
This situation drastically increases the risks for anyone holding crypto, George. Having full financial identities exposed with precise income levels and contact information makes people prime targets for wallet drainers, SIM swapping, and even targeted extortion. Cybercriminals can now execute highly realistic phishing scams or even impersonate tax officials. This data leak puts many people at serious risk.
But do you think, Satoshi, there could have been an insider who could have actually released all of the information, probably sold it to a lot of notorious people as well?
While it's speculative, George, an insider breach is always a possibility in such cases. A disgruntled employee or someone with malicious intent who had access to the data could have leaked it accidentally or purposefully. Typically, investigations would start looking into internal system access logs and personnel behavior. It's definitely a standard part of the review.
Because something similar did actually happen in El Salvador as well, isn't it? And here's the thing, guys, when El Salvador did actually make Bitcoin a legal tender, which they later on retracted, by the way, they did actually implement something called a Chivo wallet, and a lot of the users, they did actually put forward the KYC and quite a lot of useful information, but looks like the opposition party, they did actually breach all of the information, isn't it, Satoshi?
Yes, George, that's a relevant parallel. The Chivo wallet implementation required users to provide KYC data, and the opposition reportedly breached that information, resulting in a similar privacy crisis for those citizens. It underscores the significant risks when governments or large entities mandate data collection without sufficiently robust security measures. It's a recurrent problem.
And usually, Satoshi, what happens is, whenever there are exploits and hacks in a centralized system, a lot of the so-called advocates of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, they often say that such particular hacks cannot happen in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency world, which is partially right, but in case of SafePal, news such as this is definitely not looking good even for the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space, isn't it?
You're absolutely right, George. Advocates often point to the decentralized nature of crypto protocols as a shield against certain types of vulnerabilities. However, when the access points like centralized wallets, order tracking plugins, or exchanges are centralized, they become targets for these types of exploits. This SafePal data leak definitely shows that weakness and, like you said, is a negative signal for the broader space, regardless of the protocol's security. People see that and become wary.
Definitely unfortunate news. So these were the newscasts of the Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and artificial intelligence world from blockchain DXB. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go and look at two news from Dubai, UAE, and the Middle East. The first one, guys, is a really interesting news, and this is connected to First Abu Dhabi Bank of Fab. And here's the thing, guys. They are strengthening the UAE ecosystem, and what they did have an enterprise here forum, and this was called a speakeasy So why don't you do one thing, Satoshi? Why don't you tell our listeners finer details regarding this event, please?
All right, George. To kick things off, Fab hosted the second edition of its Speakeasy AI Forum, really focusing on moving AI from hype into reality. There were more than 70 AI and technology professionals there, and the discussions explored scaling AI beyond just pilot projects. They also examined how businesses can become more agentic enterprises. Another key focus was on achieving measurable real-world business outcomes, while governance and trust were highlighted as key foundations. Interoperability and effective operating models were also discussed, along with the importance of human oversight when deploying AI at scale. The forum brings together UAE AI builders and technology leaders, and speakers included experts from Fab, AWS, and Presight. Speakeasy aims to elevate enterprise AI adoption across the UAE. It launched its first edition in February 2026, and Fab's AI Innovation Hub leads the community initiative. That hub was created through Fab's strategic partnership with Microsoft, and Fab is focused on production-grade AI and intelligent automation. The next Speakeasy edition is planned for Abu Dhabi on September 10. Finally, Fab aims to strengthen collaboration across the UAE AI ecosystem.
Well, thank you so much for that, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. Now, I do have a very specific question, Satoshi, regarding human oversight. Now, look, I do understand why human oversight is important, but do you want to tell our listeners what are the benefits and positives of having a human oversight? But at the same time, the whole point of using artificial intelligence is so that there is no human oversight, isn't it? So according to me, by not having human oversight, there should not be any bias as well. So why don't you tell our listeners some of the negatives or drawbacks of having human oversight, particularly when you talk about deploying AI at scale?
That's a complex question, George. While the goal is often automation, human oversight is vital for catching biases in the data or model, preventing catastrophic failures that it hasn't seen before, and ensuring ethical compliance, things that AI can't naturally judge. Now, the drawbacks to human oversight can include slowing down scaling, introducing human error back into the system, and potentially letting personal biases override objective data, which works against the goal of eliminating them. It's a constant balancing act.
So when you talk about potentially letting personal biases override objective data, how can AI ensure that humans do not do that?
AI can't directly control human biases, George, but it can be designed to flag decisions that deviate significantly from historical data or established rules. It can also present multiple options or highlight potential bias indicators for the human to review again, essentially acting as a secondary check. Transparency in the AI's reasoning helps humans become more aware of their own subjectivity.
Now when you talk about transparency, Satoshi, am I right in saying having the source code open source does actually solve a lot of these problems, so we can ensure that no bias is actually taking place?
Open sourcing the code definitely helps with transparency, George. It allows experts to examine the algorithm for any built-in biases or flaws in the reasoning. However, bias often comes from the data itself, which might still remain private due to confidentiality. So open source only solves part of the problem. True transparency requires visibility into both the logic and the training data.
Definitely valuable answer, Satoshi. Really appreciate that. Now let's do one thing, Satoshi. Let's go ahead and discuss the second news. And this is connected to AI once again. And here's the thing, as Rev and Qualcomm, they are partnering to advance autonomous AI.
All right, George, let's discuss this. There's a new partnership between AI Rev and Qualcomm to advance autonomous AI. AI Rev, which is an Abu Dhabi-based company, has On Demand, which will integrate with Qualcomm Dragonwing products, including their on-prem appliance. This allows enterprises to deploy AI while keeping their data sovereign. It also enables governments to run autonomous AI within their own environments. On Demand works without relying on the cloud, operating on both servers and devices. Currently, AI Rev serves more than 4 million users, offering over 300 specialized AI agents that support more than 50 languages. During Q2 2026, they processed 6.8 trillion tokens, showing roughly 6 times growth year over year. The partnership enables AI from cloud infrastructure to edge devices, ensuring secure deployments wherever data resides. This collaboration creates a foundation for broader Qualcomm integration, highlighting UAE-developed AI reaching global markets. AI Rev aims to make autonomous AI a practical productivity tool.
Who do you think, Satoshi, are the end users for this particular company?
Given the focus on data sovereignty and running autonomous AI within environments, George, the end users are likely large enterprises handling highly sensitive information, finance, healthcare, or even government agencies. They need robust AI but can't risk cloud dependencies or data exposure. Qualcomm's existing customer base in those sectors also provides a natural pipeline. That's where I see the main adoption.
Well, definitely interesting news, isn't it? So these were the newscasts on the Bitcoin blockchain, cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence world from blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating and share the word across. Now let's do one thing Satoshi. Let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's do one thing Satoshi. Let's go ahead and kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series, alright?
Sure, George. Let's go ahead and kickstart the Ask Me Anything series. I'm curious to check what questions listeners have in store for us.
Hey everyone, it's Josh on the Blockchain DXB podcast. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. We do have an interesting question by Dan who asks, which is more important right now, Bitcoin's price action or growing institutional adoption? Now look Satoshi, this is such a simple question, but the answer to that is both, isn't it? But if given a choice, I would definitely go with institutional adoption, followed by price. But here's the crazy thing, guys. When you talk about the price of Bitcoin, it does depend on a lot of different factors. Right now, according to me, Satoshi, there's a conflict going on between Iran and US. Secondly, it is regulations, isn't it? So I'm right in saying, once we get clarity regarding the conflict, not necessarily an end to it, I'm talking about more clarification regarding what is going on in Iran and US, that would directly impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And then, hopefully regarding the Clarity Act, once we get final voting, and if the Clarity Act is passed, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will eventually pump up. But at the same time, Satoshi, even institutional adoption getting into the Bitcoin space will directly be impacting the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well, isn't it?
You're highlighting a crucial point, George, that price action and institutional adoption really feed off each other. While institutional adoption brings long-term capital and legitimacy, the resulting price rises draw more attention and investment. You're spot on that external factors like geopolitical clarity between Iran and the US and legislative progress like the Clarity Act are major drivers for both. Both elements are essential for the long-term health of the space. It's definitely a symbiotic relationship.
So for Dan and for our listeners, are there any specific metrics they should be looking at? Let's say for the price action of Bitcoin. And secondly, are there any specific things they should be looking at, specific metrics, in order to ensure that they are on par with growing institutional adoption as well?
For price action, George, key things to watch are definitely support and resistance levels, moving averages like the 50-day or 200-day, and volume trends around breakouts. To track institutional adoption, look at metrics like ETF inflows and outflows, the number of large wallet addresses holding substantial Bitcoin, and reported corporate purchases or futures market activity. Those provide separate perspectives.
Yep, Satoshi, and there are platforms such as Glassnode. They do often provide specific details as well. So what I'd really urge Dan and for our listeners to do is check out insights that is published by Glassnode. It does provide some really insightful information. Definitely an interesting question. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. In case if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating and share the word across. Remember, Monday to Thursdays we have Blockchain DXB podcast. We look at the process, we look at the latest technological development, we talk about plethora of partnerships, we talk about interesting news. Unfortunately, guys, in today's episode, we had to talk about negative news that is connected to exploits, isn't it? Now, news such as this directly and indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Then, guys, in the Blockchain DXB podcast, we look at two news from the UAE and the Middle East. We look at the latest technological development. Artificial intelligence is definitely a hot topic in the Middle East. And what you're listening to right now, guys, is the Ask Me Anything series, where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice and bye-bye.